So again, welcome to our very important video about the structure of the AP test and the elements of it. You're going to see that although I purposely have not talked about the structure of the AP test this year, I did that on purpose. I wanted you to learn the skills first, and then you will recognize the things that I've been asking you to do this year really all had the AP test as a goal. So all of these things you've at least been introduced to and you've practiced a couple times. So let's get on here to the slideshow, and I'll put up the first slide. Here's the structure of the AP test. First of all, it's over 3 hours. I think it's like 3 hours and 10 minutes. Last year, because of coronavirus, they did a shortened version, and they're not doing that again. You will take the full-blown test this year. The College Board is still deciding on how they're going to do this. Ideally, they wouldn't want everyone to go to the testing center for their school and sit down and take the test. But we have no idea what this virus is going to look like. So this month, they're supposed to come up with the alternate type of setting to take it. Security is the big deal, but you will take the full version of the test. So this is the structure of the test. First of all, the multiple choice questions. You'll have 55 multiple choice questions. And you see you have a minute apiece, and this is the most weighted part of the test. These are not typical multiple choice questions. Now, you have seen this. Some of the questions that I put on my exams mimic this, but where you have seen authentic questions like this is on the personal progress checks that I have assigned. This is where you log into AP Classroom, and you take those practice questions. Every question is associated with a stimulus. A stimulus means a text you have to read, or it could be an image, a map, a picture, a work of art. And they tend to come in sets of 3, where you would read one passage and you have 3 different multiple choice questions pertaining to that. Now, it's possible that you might have 2 in a set. It's rare, but you may have 4, but the typical setup here is to have 3 multiple choice questions per stimulus. Now, the multiple choice questions, the styles are kind of different in the way they relate to the stimulus. The most basic type of question that you're going to get, you have to read the stimulus and understand it, or look at the map or whatever it is and understand it, and then know something about history to relate it to the answer. And that something about history you have to know is the historical developments. The historical developments basically contain the required content that is used to formulate multiple choice questions. A lot of students ask after they take a multiple choice question in AP World History, whether it's a unit exam, whatever, they said, there are so many things I studied that weren't on that test. That's because the multiple choice usually does not ask questions about very specific things. That's because there aren't a lot of specific names in the historical developments. The multiple choice questions assess large developments. So there may be in the image or in the text something specific like caravanserai, and you'll have to know the role of a caravanserai is that it led to an increase in luxury trade across the Silk Roads between 1200 and 1450. And I hope you'll see the reasoning behind those annotations that I've had you do, those annotation connection sheets where you have to relate something specific to the broader historical development. That is to help you associate facts with the big idea. So you need to learn things, some specific people and some specific things, but basically it's important to know how they're embedded in a much larger picture, the historical development. So that's the most common multiple choice question. You will see a few questions where you look at it and you're like, man, I can answer this question without the stimulus. And you will see a few of those. Where in a set of questions, one of them might just be, which of the following led to whatever, and you know the answer. It doesn't relate to the stimulus at all. Now, there's another type of question, and these are very limited, but there are questions where you don't have to know history to answer it. You read the stimulus, and it's a reasoning question. A reasoning question is basically, they're just trying to see if you can reason through something, and you don't need to know any history to answer those questions. Again, those are limited, but I'm going to tell you something. those are horizontally aligned with the reasoning section of the PSAT test. And because of that, and this is a discussion we could have another time, the reasoning section of the PSAT test is quite accurate in terms of predicting how you're going to do in the AP test. That's why they're horizontally aligned like that. So you go through 55 multiple choice questions in 55 minutes. That's the biggest weighted part of the test. That is 40% of your grade. Then when you're done with that, that's taken from you, and before your break, you do one more component, and these are called short answer questions, or SAQs. So let me talk about the SAQs. You have done several of these. This is the typical thing that you do when you sign into EduFlow, and that's where there's a question, and you have a section A, B, and C, and you answer those. Now, if you go back to my earliest videos, I think the second video I made in Unit 0 emphasized the terms identify and explain. They're different tasks. One is more involved than the other. And typically, A will ask you to identify something, where you just simply need to write a sentence that names what they're looking for, and B and C use the word explain, which means to identify, but then tell how or why. It's a little bit more involved. So you're going to have, you'll see 4 of these on the AP test. Number 1, the first one, will have a quotation from a historian. That's called a secondary source. It will always be like that. And you have to answer a question like, identify something that might support his argument, or explain how this, it's related to what the historian has said. So you have to do that one. The second one will always have an image or a non-textual stimulus. You may have done the one on caravanserai, which showed a map with these dots of where all these caravanserai were on a map, and you had to identify something that led to the pattern like that, and you had to explain how an event made caravanserai less significant. So you would explain about Vasco da Gama or the Atlantic system or something like that, but that's the second one. The second one will always be non-textual stimulus. Then you'll see questions SAQ 3 and 4. 3 and 4 are non-stimulated. They simply ask A, B, and C, and you don't have to do both of those. Here you have a choice. So between question 3 and 4, you choose the one that you want to do. And it goes without saying, choose the one that you can write the best about. So that is the short answer question section of the test. You have 40 minutes to do 3 of them. If you do the math, that's 13.333 whatever minutes apiece. So we're going to start doing these and timing you. You had one on the Enlightenment. I think it was last week you had one on the Enlightenment. Or it began this week for you guys, I believe. And you had to answer A, B, and C. That was a non-stimulated one. There was nothing to read or look at. It just asked A, B, and C. And you have to write incomplete sentences, A, B, and C. So 13 minutes apiece, 40 minutes to do 3 of them. And what happens next during the AP exam administration is you have a little break. So if you're taking this with a group of people, the proctor will tell you, all right, you can get up now, you can go to the bathroom. I'm just going to tell you, do not get on your phone. Now, there's a slim chance you may be taking this test on a phone or on a computer, so I don't know, we don't know that yet. I don't know how that's going to end up. But I'm just telling you, if this is a typical test administration and you're sitting in a proctored exam and you're given a break, do not go to your phone. Don't discuss it. I had a student years ago when I taught at West who used that little break to go open their exam review textbook, like their Barron's or something, just to get a little bit more studying before they went back to do the rest of it. Disqualified him. So you have this little break. You come back from the break and you have 2 more things to do. The first thing is called the document-based question, or the DBQ. You have an hour to do this. They give you 7 primary sources and a prompt. You read the prompt and you use the 7 primary sources to answer it. You have seen this several times last semester. Well, we've been working with documents all year, but you looked at 7 documents on changes to Islam, and you came up with claims about that. How did Islam change from, I think it was 1200 to 1450? And then you looked at another one about I think you guys did, you online students did the one on the impact of of Christianity on the Americas, or maybe you had one about changes in Indian Ocean trade. But anyway, I didn't call these document-based questions. You just had 7 documents, and you kind of wrote your little annotation about what the document meant, and then you come up with claims. And by the way, I actually have videos on all of these that will walk you through step by step how to do this. A lot of students are intimidated by this question, and this is why I don't tell you all this at the beginning of the year. I want you to learn and know that, hey, I can do this before I tell you what the test looks like. And the document-based question is really your best friend because it asks the question, then it gives you the answer. So you have the DBQ, or the document-based question, and then you have the LAQ, and this is the least weighted part of the test. It's worth 15%, and you have 40 minutes. By the way, you get one block of 100 minutes to write both of these. If you go a little longer on the DBQ and spend less time on that long essay question, the LAQ, I think that's acceptable because of how they're weighted. And the LAQ, you have made claims and used facts to build arguments. You actually know how to write the LAQ right now, whether you realize that or not. And I would point you to previous videos. I did a video on how to make a paragraph. It's a claim supported by evidence, and the example I use comes from, I think it's topic 2.1. You have to make an argument about why trade increased, and we looked at caravanserai and paper money, and I showed you in that video how to put that together. That is one body paragraph of the LAQ. You're going to get a series of instructional videos on the LAQ. I'm finishing editing them right now that walks you through the entire process of writing this. We'll break it down in the course of 3 or 4 videos. There are other videos out there on YouTube as well. Some of them are really good, some of them are not good. And I can point you to some, but nevertheless, I'm going to put up some LAQ videos. Though this is the nature of the AP test. Okay, I want to mention this about the multiple choice questions, and I have a video on the multiple choice questions. It's a little bit dated. I'm going to redo it, but I want you to know this. The multiple choice questions of the AP test are not what questions are typically like in classes you've had in high school, where the teacher writes these questions to assess your comprehensive knowledge of all the content, because it's pretty much impossible to know everything that happened in world history from 1200 to the present. The purpose of the multiple choice question, it does of course generate 40% of your AP grade, but the purpose of the multiple choice question is to create as wide a span of possible scores per student so they can compare students to students. That's very important to know. They want a bell curve. They want an average prepared student to hit somewhere in the middle. So listen, if you were to take this and make a 60 or 65% of the questions correct, which you would not want to do in a typical test at school that's graded on a raw percentage, that would actually be pretty decent on the AP test. Some questions are going to be so easy, you're going to think they're a joke. Some are going to be so difficult that if you had a PhD in history, you could not answer it. And I can share anecdotes with you. They give this to teachers. They give the test to teachers and college professors to kind of evaluate how difficult the test is every year. And the teachers don't make hundreds on this. People with PhDs do not make hundreds on this. You're not expected to make 100 on this. So you're going to get questions that you don't know. That's okay. If you get 75, 80% of them correct, the chances are you're going to make a 5 on the AP test, providing you do similarly well on the other writing components. But that's the nature of the multiple choice. I'm going to have a video on the multiple choice. I have videos on the LAQ coming to you, and I'm going to have a series of videos teaching you how to build out a DBQ on a topic in the period we're studying right now.